Yes, everybody, welcome back to Talking Wolves for a brand new match preview on the channel. Hope you guys are keeping well and safe. Wolves back at Molineux this weekend as we host Sheffield United. The only Premier League game on Sunday, but we're looking forward to it nonetheless. Hoping to build on the fantastic victory over Tottenham Hotspur last weekend. As always, guys, we've got a message from our channel partners over at Football Prizes. If you want to get involved in this week's Wolves prize, it is a signed and framed Wolves shirt from this season's squad. So please go and get involved. There's loads of instant win prizes as well. Link to join that is in the top of the description down below. But Wolves hoping to build on the win over Spurs. Back at Molineux, we've actually lost the last two games at Molineux after it being such a fortress, really. Obviously losing out to Manchester United and Brentford. But this weekend gives Wolves a decent opportunity to get back to winning ways, really, against the Sheffield United side, who have been, no disrespect, extremely poor so far this season. It's sod's law that one of their few wins came against Wolves at Bramall Lane earlier on in the campaign. But Wolves will be hoping to obviously make sure they can get 3 points. But I think it's going to be an interesting task. Going to be quite difficult as well, because you've got to consider Sheffield United are going to be sitting deep, looking to frustrate the hell out of Wolves, really. And Wolves just really struggle to play against those teams with that low block. And hopefully to this weekend, we can see a difference. I think Gary O'Neill mentioned it on his press conference in regards to, that has been a factor that Wolves have struggled with, but he's looking forward to the game because he's hoping, he would have made changes, he would have worked on things in training. He's going to be hoping that he can show the Wolves fans what we can do. The one thing with games like this, when Wolves fans, when we go into these games and almost take it for granted that we're going to get a win or get something out of the game, sometimes I feel the atmosphere can suffer, really. I think the Brentford game was one of those. It didn't help that the Brentford fans were in the far end away from the South Bank. Sheffield United should bring a decent following, to be fair. But we've got to be up for it as Wolves fans. If you're there on Sunday, sing your hearts out. Let's try and get the atmosphere up to what it should be. We want a good level of atmosphere, because games like the Brentford game, for me, were pretty flat and frustrating. If we can get behind the lads, we've got every chance of being that 12th man and having a big boost towards helping us towards 3 points as well. Sheffield United, like I said, been very, very poor. Got one or two players. Obviously, we'll speak about that in the opposition preview, but they'll be frustrated with how things have gone so far this season. But did beat Luton in their previous away game. They've scored a couple of goals in away games since Chris Wilder took over as well. So there's no guarantee that we're going to go into this game and it's going to be a clean sheet and an easy win for Wolves. It is going to be a difficult game. You would back Wolves to win just purely based off the quality that we've got in the side, but it's going to be a tricky game, that's for sure. In Gary O'Neill's press conference anyway, nothing much of note, to be honest, other than him confirming Matheus Cunha is the only player that's going to be out. Still no timeline on the injury, but the staff are really impressed with how Matheus Cunha is getting on with his recovery so far. But other than that, a fresh and fit team as it was against Spurs last weekend as well. Before we move on to the predicted lineup, though, again, another one of our channel partners, BetMate, they've got a specific game for this weekend's match, Wolves versus Sheffield United, on their app. So if you want to join, there's a link in the description as well to get involved. It's £5 to enter this week's prize pot, and I think there's a prize pot of £400 available to win from. My team is on the screen right there. As you can see, I've gone very Wolves heavy, which shows you the way I think this game should go. But if you want to get involved and pick a team, it's a fantasy football type game. You pick a team based on who you think is going to get the most points, and obviously you have your chance to win some dollar. 18 plus, UK residents only. Please do gamble aware as we now move on to my predicted lineup. And again, as you could probably imagine, I've got completely unchanged in this one. It's the team that I pretty much predicted last weekend as well. Jose Sarr in goal, Aït-Nouri and Semedo. I'm sure we'll get lots of joy down the wing at the weekend. Totti Gomez, Craig Dawson and Max Kilman had their work cut out last weekend against Spurs, but did the job. João Gomez, phenomenal against Spurs, as was Mario Lemina. And the front three of Pablo Sarabia, Hwang Hee-chan and Pedro Neto, hoping to prove that Wolves will not miss Matheus Cunha. A lot of talent in that front three there, and hopefully we can show the rest of the Premier League that we mean business. But yeah, we move on now to the opposition preview. I did speak to Nick from the Sheffield United way to get his thoughts ahead of Sunday's match. He was negative at the start of the season. He was very pessimistic. I wonder if that's changed. So then, guys, delighted to be alongside Nick once again from the Sheffield United Way channel, talking ahead of Wolves versus Sheffield United this weekend. Nick, thank you very much for jumping on the channel again. How you keeping, buddy?
Yeah, I'm good in myself. Not so good in the team, but I'm sure we'll get there very soon.
Yeah, I mean, I remember on the reverse fixture, obviously you guys ended up getting the 3 points in that game, but I spoke on that one about when I'd seen you during the summer, and even then you weren't very positive about Sheffield United. I think you sort of almost proving yourself right with your sort of reservations at the start of the season. What's gone wrong? Because I think, after that win for you guys at Bramall Lane against us, I thought maybe Sheffield United can get some points on the board now, but you've had a change in manager since then. Results have been, well, you picked up one or two more positive results, but still not great, is it?
No, it's not. I think that us beating you guys at Bramall Lane just prolonged Hecky's reign, and that was probably the wrong thing. If we'd have got beaten by you guys, I think he probably would have gone either that one or the one after. But yeah, we had to wait for a 5-0 demolition of Burnley for Hecky to finally go. Yeah, I think it was the right decision to get rid of him. Like I said, I think it should have come a few games earlier. Chris Wilder's obviously, well, he's done better. He's clearly done better. The performances have been a lot better. Not so much of late, however. Under Hecky, I never felt like we were going to score a goal. That's how bad it was. But under Chris Wilder, you at least feel like you've got something there to hold your hat on. But we're still conceding way too many goals. I think we are the only team that's ever conceded 5 goals at home in 3 games in a row or something like that. Another crazy stat that we've managed to get. So yeah, it's bad, but the football's certainly better. It's just frustrating to be letting in so many goals at the moment. But yeah, Chris Wilder certainly brought something back to us. What that something is, I'm not too sure.
Do you think you're resigned to relegation now? Is there any chance of a great escape for Sheffield United, or do you think it's already curtains for you guys?
Yeah, it's definitely already curtains. After the Luton game, I think that gave us a little bit of hope because obviously we went away to Luton and beat them. Nobody expects us to beat them, especially with how well Luton have been playing recently. But we needed to put together kind of, I would say, 3 or 4 games where you pick up a couple of wins and a couple of draws. And you know how hard that is in the Premier League. Like in the Championship, you can do that. You can go on a little run and you can practically beat anyone in that division. In the Premier League, it's not as simple as that. Even if you're playing out of your skin, you're going to come up against, I don't know, Arsenal. Them not play too well. You play out of your skins and still get beaten 3-0 or something like that. So it's I'm resigned to relegation. I think Chris Wilder's been unlucky at times where we thought that we might be able to turn a corner, and then we've, like for instance, Luton at home, we went from 1-0 down to 2-1 up and then conceded 2 crazy own goals. It's little things like that, conceding a goal in the last minute against Aston Villa away, where you're thinking we've got no chance, and then we just looking like we're going to beat them away, and you think you're just turning a corner. And yeah, a draw away at Villa is good for us, but when you're so close to 3 points, yeah, it just kept happening in a kind of 3 or 4 game period where we were throwing games away. And that could have been the time where you're kind of picking up a few more points and looking closer to 4th bottom. But yeah, I think all we can really hope for right now is to finish 19th, which is very, very pathetic to say.
Yeah, I mean, what do you think the long-term plan is for Sheffield United? Has there been much news on that, or have you heard anything? Is Wilder the man to stay for next season, or do you think there's going to be a sort of different plan going forward in the Championship if you go down?
Well, your
Obviously,
guess is as good as mine, to be honest, mate. Because the thing is, with Wilder, I thought we were going to bring him in for the rest of the season, and that'd be it. And then obviously he himself, with how the players are playing, whether he keeps he gets a new contract or not. He was given kind of 18 months to try and turn it around. So we've got loads and loads of kind of April players, if you like, out of contract. Not sure whether we're going to be renewing the player's contract. Chris Wilder looks like he's going to be the man to make decisions because he's got another year on his contract at the end of this season. So it'd be such a Sheffield United thing to do for Chris Wilder to make all these decisions and then get sacked kind of 10 games into the season. It's like, what do we do now?
So what do you think has gone wrong on it? Because I know there was a, you'd mentioned personnel at the start of the season. You lost a couple of key players, but then you mentioned about, obviously you mentioned Arsenal, but I think against any team in the Premier League, if you don't take your chances, ultimately you're going to be punished. So what do you think has gone wrong for Sheffield United? Is it tactics, personnel, consistency, or is it a bit of a combination of everything?
Yeah, I think you probably expect it's a combination of everything in the Premier League. If you get one thing wrong, like you say, you're going to get punished. So if you don't take your chances, you'll get punished. If you get one little substitute wrong, you can get punished. It's ruthless. It really is. And I think tactics have not been great. I think if we'd have come into we came into this season not really knowing what our tactics were going to be, because in the Championship it was more often than not give the ball to Iliman and die, and he will
Mm.
create something. And then you've got James McAtee off him. You've got kind of Ollie McBurney. You've got Tommy Doyle. You've got these nice players that can also cause problems. So when there's two or three players occupied with Illiman and Dyer, you'll have James McAtee popping up and scoring a goal. So going into the season without him, we were like, what are we going to do? How's this going to work? And we obviously brought in some decent players. I don't know whether they are Premier League quality, in Gus Harmer, in Vinny Souza, defensive destroyer, and sort of like Cameron Archer and players like that. Not sure whether they are Premier League players, but certainly coming into this season, I thought that they were going to be good enough to kind of help us achieve survival. But I don't know whether they've gelled properly.
Mm.
Um, we've had almost three quarters of a season, and I'm still not sure if they've gelled properly. I think the problems haven't necessarily been those players, but we don't have the players around them for them to kind, because they're losing a bit of confidence. I think sometimes when Cameron Archer's stood up front waiting for the right pass or waiting for a ball to come in that he can attack, if it's not coming, he's obviously going to lose that confidence. And he certainly had some really, really poor games for us where he's probably just thinking, where's anything going to come from here? Where am I going to get my
Yeah.
service from? And Gus Harmer's been a little bit on and off, and I thought he was going to be our best player this season, and he's been really poor defensively. I think that's why we've tried to play him further attacking, because he's great with the ball at his feet, but he's a bit suspect when he's kind of trying to help the defense out and stuff like that. So yeah, I think it's a bit of everything. Kind of the team not gelling. Maybe we've not spent enough money. We've certainly not replaced Illiman and Die, but that's always going to be difficult. Um, and obviously chopping and changing the manager, like I said earlier on, Hecky, I never saw us really scoring goals with him.
Yeah.
When you conceded a goal, you just expect it to be more and more and more that you're conceding rather than getting one back. But under Chris Wilder, at least you see a little bit of fight in there.
I was going to say it's lowest goal scorers, most conceded, unfortunately, Nick. Is there any, I mean, in regards to the game for Sunday, is there any bright sparks in that Sheffield United team that Wolves do need to be aware of? Is there anyone that can win this game for Sheffield United?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, we've got some game winners. It's the other players that's the big problem at the moment. It's the lads that you should be turning up week in, week out, heading the ball away, kicking the ball away, and just stopping goals from being leaked. Because,
Mm.
yeah, we've not scored loads of goals, but we've certainly chipped in with a decent amount of goals that could win you points. But
Mhm.
we've, like I said, we've been conceding 5 goals and 4 goals, three goals every game. So, like, we played Brighton in the cup. We scored 2 goals at home, and normally you shouldn't really lose a game of football at home if you score 2 goals,
Mm.
and we conceded 5. And it's
Yeah.
just it's really frustrating. But obviously we've got Cameron Archer, who's exciting when he's got the ball at his feet. Um, Scored a goal recently. Like I said earlier, he's not scored too many goals this season, but he can certainly do something if he gets the chance. Ben Brereton Diaz actually was very, very exciting when he came in. He scored a couple of goals. He's been injured in the last couple, so hopefully we get him back. Like I say, I never thought I'd see the day when Ben Brereton Diaz is our shining light up front, but he's certainly come in and surprised a few people. So hopefully he gets a start. Gus Harmer is fantastic. Like I said, with the ball at his feet, he can create some really good openings. James McAtee is going to be a very, very special talent. I think he will be better at Man City, obviously, because he'll have loads of great players around him. But he's showing this season that he can really step up. Because when we signed him in pre-season, I'm thinking this is not the player that's going to try and help us stay up, because he was so lightweight in the Championship, got knocked about a lot, didn't really score too many goals until the back end of the season, and he's our own, when Ben Brereton isn't playing, he seems like our only outlet. And he's a very special, talented footballer.
Yeah, I think with Archer, he obviously scored in the reverse fixture. I think a lot of his family are Wolves fans as well. I think he's obviously ex-Villa, so if he's fit, it'll be interesting to see how he gets on at Molineux. And in regards to Wolves, Nick, I'm not expecting you to have watched every single minute of Wolves so far this season, but you would have seen obviously highlights here and there. Any players that worry you ahead of this game on Sunday?
Like you say, I've probably watched Match of the Day like 4 times this season, because
I don't blame you.
it's so difficult. You probably know yourself.
Yeah,
It's so
yeah.
difficult when you're playing that badly and you're getting battered every week. You go to the game on Saturday and you come home and it's like, that's the last thing that I want to watch.
No football this weekend. Yeah.
Pedro Neto is obviously, is he playing Neto?
Yeah. He'll be there. Yeah.
Pedro Neto is such a great player. He really is. And I know it's like it's easy. It's like saying, "Oh, Salah's good for Liverpool." Like Pedro Neto is a fantastic footballer, and it's always great to see him play football when it's not against Sheffield United. Wang obviously scores goals. I don't know if he's been scoring too many goals lately, but I'm a big fan of his. But yeah, other than that, Tommy Doyle, I'd love to see Tommy Doyle play and play well, because I'm a big fan of his as well. Obviously was on loan at Sheffield United last season. Probably didn't get enough game time as what he should have done for United in the Championship, picking up a really early injury. And then obviously for you guys, he seems to be playing, well, being in and out of the team. But I did see him score an absolute thunder rasper. I think it was in the FA Cup.
Yeah. He's
Big fan of Tommy Doyle.
Yeah.
Just love him to bits.
I mean, I think it's a given that we're going to sign him on a permanent deal, because I think we got him on loan with an option to buy of about 4.5 million. So he'll definitely be staying, because he had a spell in the team throughout end of December, January, and he was really, really good. I think he's just unlucky. Lamina's back, João Gomez is back, and they've both been brilliant again. So I don't think he'll start Sunday, but we'll get some game time. Hwang, like you said, he'd been at the Asia Cup, so he's not played for a while. But he started the last game, and like I said, Neto's been fantastic as well. So be an interesting game, Nick. I think a lot of Wolves fans will be going into this game confident that we should get the win, but at the same time, we know what happens with Wolves when we're almost too confident. It happened against you guys at Bramall Lane. It happened at Luton away. We have dropped points in these sort of games, so they aren't straightforward.
What I will say, sorry to cut you off.
Oh, yeah.
This is a bit of a start, and I think it's a start that's true. I think the last 3 times we've lost 5-0, we've then won the next game. Hal on our preview came up with all the stats and stuff, and I'm pretty sure that's what happened. And it feels like every time we expect to get absolutely hammered, we come up with the goods. So I don't know whether that's just Chris Wilder Chris Wilder bounce back and him getting into him and having a go at him and stuff, or what. But again, all Sheffield United fans are expecting us to get absolutely hammered in this game, and it would be again just the Sheffield United way to come back and get something out of this game. I'm not expecting us to, but it's happened a few times recently under Wilder. So we'll see if that happens.
Yeah, I mean, I was just sort of checking before we started. I mean, obviously you lost out to Brighton 5-0 last week. When you'd lost to Villa 5-0, you'd beaten Luton the week after. I think it was who beat you 5-0 before? I just saw it. Was it Liverpool? No. It was Burnley. You lost to Liverpool the week after as well, but then you beat Brentford the week after that. So in terms of consecutive sort of weekends, because I think there were a midweek game, the Liverpool one was, if I'm right. Yeah, I mean, look, I don't think it's going to be as straightforward as that. I don't think any Premier League game is easy. And you guys, bearing in mind, are fighting for your lives down there. And your away form isn't atrocious, to be fair. Just looking at some of the games, you're scoring goals away from home anyway. You beat Luton. Yes, you lost out to Palace, but scored twice as well. You're not awful away from home. So it's going to be, I think you'll make it difficult for us anyway. Nick, have you got a score prediction for me?
I think that I can hope for is that we get a point from this game and then just creep even further away from Derby's embarrassing points total because we only just beat that the other week, and it'll be nice to get. It'd be nice to touch 20 points. So like every point helps, and I think I'll say 1-1 in this game.
Yeah, no problem. And where can people find you and your channel if they wish?
Our channel is called the Sheffield United Way. We are on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. We've been putting a lot of effort into TikTok, to be fair. So let's get a little better. Facebook, Twitter, everywhere you can think of. Sheffield United Way.
Brilliant, mate. Thank you very much. And apart from Sunday, all the best for the rest of the season, mate. Fingers crossed. I know it's a long shot. Fingers crossed we are talking again next season. But if not, I'll catch you very soon anyway, mate.
Cheers, Dave.
So big thanks to Nick. Once again, you can check out the Sheffield United Way and the stuff that they do in the description down below. If I do have to give a score prediction, I think it's going to be a 2-0. Let's be positive. I was going to say a 2-1. As I always do, but I think a 2-0. We definitely got the quality to score a couple of goals. I think the earlier a goal goes in for Wolves, the better, really, because that way Sheffield United will have to come out and press and attack us. So if we can get our first half goal, build on that, and like I said, let's get the atmosphere rocking as per usual at Molyneux, guys, and let me know your thoughts and score predictions in the comment section down below. Until then, enjoy the rest of your weekend. We'll have obviously the normal post-match content with the fans react, my reaction, and then the podcast out at the start of the week as well. Until then, though, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and I'll see you all very, very soon.